Hello, everyone. We'll just get started in about a minute as people join the room. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for your time for coming, and welcome to the WOW Digital Report. So we're unveiling the 2025 results. This is the 6th edition on the study of the digital experience. I'm Santo Lagati, the Vice President of Marketing and Member Services at the Retail Council of Canada, and we're so happy to be here today with Leger to reveal these exciting results, and I know that you are as well. So before we move on to our presenters, just a few housekeeping. The chat is disabled for this webinar, but you can submit your questions in the Q&A. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for questions. So please make sure to put them in there. And at the end of the webinar and later today, you will receive a copy of the results. Because we have a lot to get through and it's so much interesting material, I'd like to introduce our speakers, Luc Dumas, who's Senior VP of Consumer Insights at Leger, and Maurice Dupuis, who's Client Services Director at Leger as well. So without any further wait, let's get started.
Santo, thank you so much. It's really good to be here today. I had the pleasure of presenting the WOW in-store results on Tuesday. Today, we're going to be looking at another eagerly anticipated study, another benchmark in Canada for measuring customer experiences online in this particular case. The reports themselves, which are far more in-depth than what we'll be presenting today, really give you some insight into how consumers perceive their interactions with retailers. As I said, today we're going to focus on the digital index and rankings, sharing results by sector, and then the overall leaders in digital performance. Now, again, the study, once you subscribe to it, offers you a personalized, detailed analysis for your sector and can really help your business understand your performance and customer sentiment. In addition to the digital rankings, as I mentioned already, we presented the in-store rankings for Quebec, for Ontario, and Western Canada on Tuesday. That's all part of the WOW ecosystem of insights. For the digital component, the study looks at online customer journey from shopping to delivery. We explore common pain points and key performance indicators. This year, the study surveyed visitors to over 298 company websites and mobile apps across 27 business sectors. And we looked at digital engagement, the customer journey, and reasons for shopping online. So with this very robust methodology, the WOW study delivers actionable insights to help you enhance your strategies and refine the experience. So how do we make all of this happen? Let's take a bit of a closer look at the methodology. So the WOW study digital captures insights from over 24,000 Canadians aged 16 and older who speak either English or French. Each online experience was evaluated by approximately 300 respondents who had visited a retailer's website or mobile app within the past 12 months. In order to ensure robust and sort of unbiased feedback, respondents were asked to rate up to 4 randomly selected retailers from the list of retailers that they had visited in the past 12 months. We can conduct studies of this scale due to the fact that Leger owns and operates Leo, Canada's largest and most representative panel, which helps us deliver high quality and reliable insights that we are well known for. To accurately reflect the socio-demographic profile of each retailer, the data was weighted based on factors such as gender, age, mother tongue, and region. Fieldwork took place in this case from October 15th to December 9th. And it's also important to note that while we have tons of retailers in this study, it's really not feasible for us to measure every single one. But we're always open to suggestions. If you have recommendations for additional businesses or sectors to include, let us know and we'll assess the feasibility. So before we get to the rankings and to the sectorial rankings and the overall rankings, we wanted to share with you a couple of exciting special features that we built into the study this year. And the first one is on digital engagement, which I would love my trusted colleague Maryse Dupuis to tell us a little bit about. Maryse is from our Leger Digital team.
Thank you so much, Luc. So on our first slide for the Digital Engagement Index, here you can see that we created an index to measure users' digital engagement with brands, and we applied it across various industry sectors. So this really helps brands understand how their customers interact with them, and so you can adapt your strategies accordingly. So first, we identified 8 digital activities that are valuable to brands. So these activities are categorized into 4 major groups. So let's look at them. We have discovery and exploration, which has consult the brand's digital platforms, website, app, view videos, blog posts, ads, podcast. We have the evaluation and validation category, which have used the brand's online chat service, text messaging, etc., checking reviews, testimonials, and online videos from consumers before buying. In our social and promotional engagement category, we have comment, like, and share brand posts or content. We have take advantage of offers or promotions sent via digital channels, social media, email, app, notifications. And finally, transaction and post-transaction, purchasing or transacting through the brand's digital platforms and using the brand's online tools to manage your transactions. So, Luc, could you explain the math behind the index?
I sure can. So what we did basically is we asked respondents if they engaged in these specific digital activities, and within each of the brands in the study, and how frequently they did so. The index, which goes from 0 to 1,000, is calculated by considering that proportion of visitors participating in each activity, weighted by the frequency of their engagement. It's important to note that no one achieved a score of 1,000, because that would mean that their visitors would have to complete each of the 8 digital activities every week to get that score, which is not the case for anyone. So we wanted to create this to highlight the importance of investing not only in your websites, but also in your broader digital ecosystem, applications, social media, and other online channels, because at the end of the day, all of these things come together to allow you as a brand to build that emotional connection that's so important with your audience. You want to drive interest and conversion and ultimately long-term loyalty. For instance, if every time I log on to Facebook or Instagram, I'm greeted with a steady stream of really engaging content from a brand, whether it's videos, posts, promotions, or other updates, I really can't help but take notice, right? So that level of digital engagement is a really powerful driver of brand awareness, but even beyond that, does all of the different things that help build that strong connection with your consumer.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, Maryse, to know which sectors do best in this regard. I think we have that, right?
Yes, good question. So on this slide, here's a table showing the digital engagement scores, the average, for the 27 analyzed sectors. So let's look at the top 10 with our highest average engagement scores. We've highlighted really the one company with the biggest digital engagement score in its sector. So it's important to note that not all of these scores include the same digital engagement activities. And also keep in mind here that the natural products and supplement sector achieved the highest average digital engagement score. This really aligns with the strength of online sports and health and wellness communities, which are often very engaged. So looking at our next slide, let's go a little bit deeper into detail. So here we see that industries do not have the same engagement rate depending on the digital engagement activity being analyzed. Let's take the first line, for example, for the activity consulting the brand's digital platforms, website, social media app. The food sector scores the highest, and natural products and supplements is not far behind, but it's not the first one. So the average for natural products was number one, but here it's food for consulting the brand's digital platform. Let's also remember that the lottery sector ranked second overall in the digital engagement index. However, for the activity, comment, like, or share brand posts, the lottery sector ranks near the bottom, a very low score. The lottery sector's high overall score comes from its significant lead in the activity, which is purchasing or transacting via the brand's digital platforms. This suggests that it's an industry where people spend considerable time playing and transacting directly on the company website, like Bet99, for example. So these consumers are likely comfortable navigating the web and social media environments where, quick interactions and clicks are the norm. So it's fascinating to really identify which activity stands out for a given sector, and this directly impacts your digital engagement strategy.
I was just going to say, Maryse, I'm fascinated by the numbers for insurance and how low they are in terms of how infrequent these activities are conducted.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the digital journey, one of my favorite parts, and I'll pass it back to. Can you tell us a little bit more about this digital journey and what you were trying to illustrate with the data?
Yes, so this helps you see where customers are, on which platforms they are, depending on where they are on their purchasing journey. So across all sectors, most purchase-related activities happen either on a brand's website/app or directly in-store. So for instance, shopping, exploring the product and service offering largely occurs on a brand's website. Moreover, 37% of purchases happen on the website, while 42% occur in store. Users most often see or receive an offer via a brand's website or email. And strategically, brands should really ensure that their offers are visible on these two channels. Interestingly, 19%, there's a little arrow there, 19% of users turn to chat for pre-purchase inquiries. Brands should not overlook the importance of offering chat services, whether on their website or social media direct messaging. In our specialized digital study that we published in December, we observed that Gen Z, so our 16 to 24-year-olds, they stand out by using Instagram as their go-to platform for private messaging. So it's really an opportunity for brands to seize.
And I guess we could say that it's quite crucial for a company to understand this, right, in terms of the customer preferences regarding where the contact happens at every stage of that journey, right? Because I kind of feel like these insights would enable our clients to basically personalize the customer experience, right, and minimize friction, enhance satisfaction, and even in some cases differentiate yourself from competitors, right?
Absolutely. Personalization is really a key word here.
And also maybe even allocate resources in a more strategic way, right? To make sure that you're adapting to those generational preferences, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting.
Especially for community management. Yeah. Ensuring that you have a team that can answer the direct messages. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so let's look at the telecommunications sector. So here's an example of the digital journey for this sector in particular. A brand's website or app is essential for marketing here, as most purchase-related activities occur right there. Additionally, phone interactions play a more significant role here than in other sectors, While chat is also important, being used 23% of the time for asking a question, getting an answer before buying. Once again, email is very, very vital, close to the average here at 27%, for receiving offers like discounts, new products. Our next slide shows another sector, so the hardware and renovation. In contrast to telecoms, in-store visits are crucial for the hardware and renovation sector. This is expected in context where customers need to see and touch products or acquire them quickly because they're working on a project. And telecommunications, on the other hand, are a service that can often be handled via email or phone, and it's a little bit less urgent. Still, websites remain an important channel for browsing and exploring offerings in the hardware and reno sector. For seeing and receiving offers, the email absolutely dominates, accounting for 31%, well above our cross-sector average.
I've noticed on this slide and the one before that we've got some what seem to be quote unquote much less popular contact points, such as social media or even text messaging. Does that mean that we should be dropping these things from our digital strategy and concentrate more on traditional networks?
That's a great question. So yes, there are many ways to engage with the brand. So what we're going to see on the next slide in a minute is that different audiences prefer different communication channels. So depending on who you want to target, you might need to maintain an active presence on different channels. So I would say don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
Thank you.
Speaking of different channels, we examined our users' preferred social networks for interacting with brands. I'm showing you here this number in red. 44% of respondents want to interact with a brand on social media. That is great news for brands. Leading the way here are our Gen Z, or 16 to 24-year-olds, with 60% of them preferring social media interactions. This rate declines a little bit with age as you go up in age. Here on the right, you have our top 4 interaction platforms that are shown in blue. So 12% interact with brand posts on Facebook, with 13% amongst our 25 to 34-year-olds. 11% of our respondents use Messenger. 8% interact with Instagram posts on average, but this rises to 17% for our 16 to 24-year-olds and 13% for 25 to 34. 15% of our 16 to 24-year-olds use Instagram DMs, direct private messages. This really aligns with our digital study findings that you can download for free. Gen Z uses private chat more than other generations. So if you want to interact with this audience, with this market, you know where to find them. So,
and what I love about this chart, Maryse, is that we're not only looking at a view of today, we're looking at a view of the future in many cases, right? Because those 16 to 24-year-olds that are using Instagram, they're not going to stop when they turn 25. Right.
Exactly. They might keep their habits, so we're going to have to follow them as they grow up.
Exactly.
So this concludes our special features. In our full report available for purchase, you will have access to much more detail and, more importantly, the third digital special feature about incentives to shop online.
Thank you so much. So those were great. They're even greater in the actual final report with tons of detail and information about your sector, your competitors, and yourself. But let's move on to the ranking of companies according to their Digital Experience Index, the main topic of today's webinar. So let's talk about the digital index a little bit and how it works. It's built around 14 non-transactional dimensions of that online experience. And why do we focus on the non-transactional? Well, that's because not all companies in the study are transactional. And we wanted to ensure we had enough responses to fairly evaluate each brand that's included. So this approach gives us a pretty clear and consistent way to measure the digital experience across a wide range of industries. A good example would be, HomeSense, for example, which has a digital presence and activities, but is not transactional. And we still want to be able to compare companies like that in this space. In terms of what we look at, there are, pillars, basically that focus on the visual aspect. So how the website looks or feels, its design, whether it's polished or not, things of that nature. the offer that's part of the experience. So we dig into things like variety of products or services, whether it's easy to discover new things and how competitive the prices are. We also look at experience. So in terms of that navigation, the search functions, the filtering functions, and any type of customization that the app or website can offer. And we're going to turn that word customization into personalization a little bit later, because we're going to see how important that is in the overall experience. We also look at help. So in terms of whether the app or website provides inspiration, provides reviews from other customers or experts that can help in that decision-making process. And of course, we look at the post-purchase aspects of this. So this is really key to loyalty, very, very much so. So how easy is it to do returns? How smooth is it? How much information are you getting, and are you getting it at the right time? And really, does it feel like one unified brand when you're moving through these various components of the experience? Now, for companies where we had enough responses, so I think about 100 or more who had recently made a purchase, we went a step further to include the transactional dimensions. Because these really add another layer to the index and really focuses on the purchasing process, right? So how easy was it to complete the transaction? How transparent and simple was the payment option? Things around delivery and returns as well. So we're going to dive into that a little bit later, into the transactional index a little bit later in the session. So stay tuned for that. So we feel that together these dimensions paint a complete picture of what's working and where companies can really step up their game, whether it's transactional or not. Because every part of the digital experience matters, and the study is designed to give you the insights you need to improve. So our study highlighted 3 key observations for 2025. The first one is some really good news. I shared similar news on Tuesday when we did the in-store version, and that is that the WOW index scores are improving significantly compared to last year. So this year, our balance is a net positive of 22 points. That means that more companies have seen their digital index rise compared to those experiencing a decline. Again, similar to the in-store. Last year, we had a net decline of minus 30. So basically what that's saying is that this year, visitors are having better online experiences, but it's important to note also that visitation rates have gone down a little bit, except for discount stores, which continue to see growth given how consumers feel right now about various things. And this does mirror the trends observed in the in-store WOW index. One standout dimension of the digital WOW model this year is personalization. And that's shown the most improvement. It was a key focus last year in our special report, where we saw that consumers were expressing a very strong desire for more tailored experiences, right? Particularly in terms of promotional offers. So companies that do really well here, where they leverage that transactional data, your browsing history, whatever it may be, to offer those relevant recommendations, to anticipate your needs and to customize the content that's being shown, are at the top of our performers this year. However, transactional dimensions, such as delivery times, options, and costs, have declined. Could be impacted by the challenges we experienced with Canada Post, among other things. If we look at the number one irritant, price, higher prices remains the number one irritant. Very frustrating for online shoppers. It is a little bit on the downward trend because retailers have done a really good job, and congrats to all retailers in Canada for more prominently showcasing what's on sale, what you have, what special deals you have to perform better. Another major irritant is products being out of stock. We've all experienced that. Consumers expressing frustration, not only when an item itself is out of stock, but when the sizes or the color of that item that they want is out of stock. And I believe, Maryse, you were telling me the other day about something that happened to you.
Yes, so tale is all this time. Everybody knows that story. It's frustrating when you see an item. Let's go with clothing. You click on it, it's not available in like any size. Um, Something interesting happened. So I was on H&M's website last week. I wanted to buy a cardigan, liked it, clicked on it. It wasn't available in my size. But the algorithm behind the website knew that I was like a size medium because I had put other medium size items in my basket. So there was like a pop-up that would suggest me this item would fit you in a size 6. This item would fit you in a small or a medium or a large. That's cool. It's personalization, but that AI, that algorithm would suggest me to buy a size that also wasn't available. So you can build these great tools, but they have to be built in a very smart way. Thankfully, what really saved the day for H&M is their section called other similar options. And so the customer can end up purchasing something else. So rest assured, I purchased a cardigan. I made it. So to keep
Great.
in mind.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that having that sort of that little high of, ooh, maybe there's something else, and then, ooh, it's not there, is even worse than not having known in the first place. Um, cool. So you can imagine with a study of this magnitude and the fact that we have open ends and we ask people to comment on certain things, that we had thousands upon thousands of comments about consumers and their interactions with different websites and apps. So from these comments, we've done full analysis and we've identified 6 key expectations that have emerged as priorities for online shoppers. The first one is product availability. We just talked about it. And I'm going to repeat this. If you're going to have a mechanism in place to mitigate that, make sure that you think about all of the points along that path and make sure that they're all satisfactory to not do what Marie's just described. People are looking for detailed information. So shoppers really value comprehensive product details, including descriptions, photos, videos, and reviews. A really good example is Max, where they have tutorials to enhance the shopping experience, where consumers can see the product in action. People are looking for personalized experience. There's that word again. We use it over and over, particularly in terms of loyalty programs. If you think about a loyalty program like SAQ's Inspire, it's frequently mentioned as an exemplary one for delivering those tailored experiences, again, based on your past history of searching or filtering or purchasing, which can indicate or at least demonstrate that the retailer understands your preferences and needs. Obviously, people look at seamless navigation. So sites like Simon's, if you haven't been, check it out, and Centris as well. They really stand out for their intuitive, user-friendly interfaces. Another expectation is competitive and exclusive offers. If you look at brands like Fizz and Homes Alive Pets, they really succeed by providing compelling deals and loyalty benefits. And of course, technical optimization, not a big surprise. That is consistently a need, a table stake. Your site needs to be bug-free, mobile-friendly to ensure that smooth user experience. So these things are all critical in order to stay competitive by meeting those shopper expectations. Now, what we've all been waiting for, my favorite part, we're going to get to the overall ranking across all categories. So in order to be part of this list, you need to have a WOW index of 90 or above. So the list is, may change from year to year. It's not always a top 10. This year, I think it's a top 12. So let's start with number 12. We've got Mes Bobettes. They are new to the study, debuting at 90.1. They are an underwear, they're in the underwear category, and they're well known for their variety, their competitive pricing, and their very streamlined transactional process. The website is modern, playful, and has really, in many ways, helped redefine the men's underwear market. So congratulations to Mes Bobettes. At number 11, we have Aerie, scoring 90.7. They've seen a slight increase this year. They're very well known for their youthful and authentic design. Resonates very well with Gen Z. as highlighted in our digital study. And they also excel at that transactional process and are really good at helping people discover new products and new options. At number 10, we have Shop Santé with a score of 90.8. They remain a digital favorite. They're known for their variety of products, the ease of navigation, and the detailed product descriptions. They continue to perform really well across all categories, and theirs in particular. Coming in at number 9, we have Chewy, another first-time participant with a score of 90.9. They excel in personalization, customer service, and providing detailed external reviews, which consumers really appreciate. They have very clear pricing on their website and app, and very engaging product visuals. This clearly contributes to their strong performance. At number 8, we have Nike, another new entry, scoring 91 on the WOW Index. They've improved their digital experience by enhancing their information search, providing more product variety on their website and app, and providing also user-focused recommendations, which people really, really like. At number 7, we have SAQ. For the 6th consecutive year, SAQ ranks among the best. This year, they score 91.7. Very strong, again, at personalization, providing inspiration and advice, and basically have very refined and advanced filtering and searching functions that help consumers make their choice. At number 6, we have MAC. These are MAC is for the first time in the top here with a score of 92.6. They impress with their inspiration and advice, the navigation of their website, and a greatly improved transactional process in recent years. Tutorials, as I mentioned before, detailed product descriptions, and an advanced chat service, I think really elevate their online shopping experience. At number 5, we have Lego. This is last year's number 1, and now they're ranked 5th with a score of 92.7. So they've experienced a slight drop. They can still continue to perform really well in product variety, navigation, and the quality of information. Their very playful interface remains quite a hit with users. At number 4, we have La Tulipe, a major climber with a score of 92.9. They've increased by 18.3 points since last year. They really shine in the sports and outdoor category, excelling in product variety, ease of navigation, and transactional process. They have detailed buying guides and very clear pricing, which both enhance their appeal. At number 3, we have Mia Bijou, another strong performer with a score of 95.3. They stand out for their exceptional product descriptions, very varied collections, and personalization. The brand, in my opinion, really brings its product to life by naming them and promoting a lifestyle that encourages customers to express their own style and to show their colors. At number 2, we have Case Me, another new entry, taking the 2nd place with a score of 95.4. Case Me leads in 6 of the dimensions of the online experience, including look and feel, their brand image, the discovery, information search, personalization, in this case with very unique tools for creating your own designs, and that omni-channel integration. This really, really resonates with their audience. Oops, my apologies. I'm going to skip number 1, right? Now to number 1, Simons with an impressive score of 95.8. They've consistently ranked among the top WOW digital experiences and excel across all sectors in product variety, navigation, delivery, in their case with eco-friendly packaging, which is often mentioned, and their return process. They have a very intuitive interface, personalized suggestions, and really all of these things together make it a leader in customer satisfaction. So congratulations to all the winners of the best digital experiences across Canada. One thing I'd like to point out is that the top four, basically, Simons, Case Me, Mia Bijou, and La Tulipe, are all based in Quebec, showcasing how their regional excellence in digital experiences. Some winners excel in efficiency, clear pricing, and robust search functionality, while others, like these, focus on creating a storytelling or lifestyle-driven approach. The sites that succeed in blending both elements dominate the rankings. Again, personalization, right? Most of the brands that prioritize that understand that it's the key to delivering that relevant, engaging, and memorable online experience. So again, congratulations to all these companies. Anything to add, Maryse, before I go to the sectorial? No? Cool. So now let's look at the results by sector. Let's start with alcohol. We've already talked about SAQ with their score of 91.7 and leading the pack in their category. There have been a couple of significant increases, however, this year with SQDC, la Société Québécoise du Cannabis, whose score has gone up by 8.2 points since last year, and Titfret, which has gone up by 14.5 points since last year. Although this site, Titfret, is not transactional, they have improved on product variety and providing inspiration and advice to their consumers.
If I may add here, it's fascinating really to see that the SAQ ranks very, very high on the list, while its Ontario counterpart, so LCBO, underperforms quite significantly. So maybe LCBO could learn a few things from SAQ.
Yeah, I mean, the SAQ, you're right, the SAQ outperforms the LCBO. I mean, if we looked at the in-store, we don't measure the two in the same study for the in-store because they're in different provinces. But, I think just on things like personalization, the loyalty program, and providing inspiration, there's a huge gap there. I mean, on loyalty, we're seeing, just on loyalty alone in Ontario with LCBO, they do a great job, but they have switched partners a couple of times, and it's not proprietary and specific to their product offering. Probably a key factor in that difference between SAQ and LCBO. Let's move on to convenience stores. Not a ton to say here. We've got a very stable sector with each player having similar scores, so they're all sort of on equal footing. If we look at the grocery sector, here we've got Les Fermes Lufa or Lufa Farms doing very well in the sector and in the overall rankings. They have a score of 89.8, just shy of the top WOW list. They have been ranked first before. And while they're not necessarily the most competitive on price, their key strengths lie in quality and quantity of information, inspiration and advice, discoveries, and brand image in the sector. In the sector, we evaluate not only the experience on the corporate website of some of these players, but also on the transactional website. So there's differences there. You'll see that we've got Voilà by IGA performing better than Metro's Mon Épicerie en ligne in terms of look and feel. But then Metro's corporate website, which is where you would find flyers and corporate information, performing better for providing information about certain things like the loyalty program. On to pharmacy, we're going to see that there have been some minor shifts this year, but most retailers are fairly stable. Remedies is not a transactional site, but allows users to manage their medications and those of their family members, and does a lot of cool things like providing you with access to your information, to advice, renew prescriptions, book vaccination appointments, and access flyers and loyalty program information. So some good stuff happening there. Department stores, we've got significant increases in this sector. Simons we've mentioned, but those who've increased since last year are Costco, Mud Shuck, Canadian Tire, L'Aubainerie, Walmart, and Dollarama, because they all performed exceptionally well on competitive pricing. So they understand how consumers are feeling and are reacting to that and are being awarded for that by higher points.
Simon's here really appears to be a true leader in transactional capabilities as well as end-to-end optimization along the journey. brands, I think, have much to learn from Simon's, and it really ties back to what we mentioned earlier, that a website that offers several similar options during browsing greatly enhances the shopping experience. And as well, their mobile app is highly appreciated by users.
Oh, I mean, I think that, that explains, in my opinion, the pretty big gap between number one and number two here, right? There's a good reason for that, and I think you've put your finger on it. If we look at furniture and home decor, IKEA remains the leader in this sector. But again, overall, the online experience in this category as a whole is improving, except for Urban Barn. They saw a 6.1 drop since last year. Clearly, people are feeling that there's less product variety and that the transactional process is not as optimized as it should be for Urban Barn. So maybe something to look out for. In terms of electronics, we've already talked about CaseMe, which stands out in this sector, along with the Apple Store, who's number two here. Hamster had a significant increase of 9.1 points, again, notably for new products and look and feel, and Staples dropped by 10.9 points. So Staples does well in the transactional process, but it does lack detailed product descriptions, which I think have hurt it among consumers. When it comes to eyewear, we've got Kits remaining the leader in its category. Significant improvements, though, were noted for Iris, Optorezo, and Visique. Online pricing is a key factor for this sector, along with personalized experiences, especially for recurring purchases like contact lenses.
Luke, when you presented the WOW in-store results 2 days ago, the results for the eyewear sector was much higher in store. It seems kind of hard to connect with consumers online when it comes to eyewear.
Absolutely. So clearly, in this sector, retailers have not been able to replicate or sort of give people the same emotional response that they would have in a store. I think this is a sector where some of the interactions are very functional in terms of you're just going there to replace contact lenses or fluid or whatever it may be. But then there's another part of it, which is everyone knows trying on glasses it's like trying on a dress, right? It's so key to who you are and what you look like. So maybe the fact that people can touch and feel the products is a factor here. And virtually trying on glasses can only go so far, I think. But yeah, it's interesting. Let's move on to beauty, where we've got MAC taking the top spot. We've already talked about that. They are replacing this year at the top of this category, Sage Natural Wellness. Mentioned already, MAC excels with their tutorials, their online chat, and their variety, but there were other significant increases that we observed. Dans un Jardin and Fruits and Passion both increased by over 15 points, which is remarkable. So basically, they improved their scores across all of the dimensions of the online experience. So two players to look out for who've done really well. In jewelry, already discussed Mia, which ranks first in its category, but third in the overall WOW rankings. But we also saw Pandora creeping up there. They saw a notable increase of 12.2 points, driven primarily by improvements in their loyalty activities. When it comes to footwear, we have Spring, holding the top spot. They stand out for brand image and competitive pricing. Aldo, however, does excel in transactional process and personalization. They make the process to complete a purchase quick and easy. But they do lack some of the strengths that their competitors above them have, and that would be detailed product descriptions, images, and competitive pricing. Specialty stores. Lindt here takes the first place in this sector this year. Notably, there were increases for Breville in terms of brand image, the inspiration and advice, and Chocolat Favori for look and feel and information search. Natural products. Shop Santé remains the number one. As you know, they were part of the top list. But we also saw that interestingly in this sector, we saw a pretty big decline for Popeyes. They've not been doing so well in terms of their loyalty and omni-channel integration, which has hurt them a little bit this year.
And if I may add, Luke, it's surprising to see that while GNC was our #1 brand for digital engagement, it's ranked 200th for this overall online experience. So this, I would say, is cause for concern.
Yeah, I think that's right. So they do exceptionally well at connecting with their consumer, at keeping them engaged. But when the consumer gets to the website, the experience is not what was basically promised, I would say, or at least doesn't fit the brand promise, which is one of like deep engagement and connection. But it's also an opportunity, right, to learn from that and say, hey, how do we up our game and bring the two closer together for sure. Let's move on to lottery, where we have a lot of new players this year. Bet99 remains #1. They stand out for odds of winning, intellectual or competitive challenges, and live gaming experiences. Oh my God, so sorry. Having issues here. Creative hobbies, so crafts, arts and crafts, I guess. Lee Valley holds their position as #1. But Indigo chapters saw a significant increase of 13.4 points, particularly in terms of quality and quantity of information available to help consumers make informed choices. Games and toys, we've talked about Lego. Imaginaire saw a pretty big increase of 8.1 points and is approaching a WoW level online experience. In this sector, the most important factor is the quality of product description. You really have to give the customer that shopping independence feel. So they don't need to have they need to have all the information to make those choices. Sports and outdoors, we saw several increases in this sector this year, except for 2 players facing challenges. Acterix went down by 15.5 points, and Running Room, Coin des Coureurs, went down by 21.8 points. Acterix still maintains a strong brand image and appealing look and feel, but has struggled with pricing and personalizing the experience. For Running Room, many areas to improve, particularly in terms of adding visuals and product descriptions. Telecommunications, pretty stable. Fizz remains #1 in its sector. And I think they've been top for 6 years in a row, or yeah, I think they've been top most of the time. Anyway,
they have, if I'm not mistaken, they held their #1 spot in their sector for 6 consecutive years, and
amazing.
WoW has been around for 6 years also.
Right. So the whole time. But you know, we're seeing Lucky Mobile catching up, right? So they've had a significant increase last year to this year of almost 20 points. They've worked hard on their pricing, on their transactional process, and their overall performance has gone up. And Freedom Mobile as well is on the rise. So 2 players to look out for. For hardware, we've got Canac, who is the clear leader in this sector. Competitive pricing is probably its strongest attribute, and that's critical in this category. But for them, they perform well across all dimensions. Lowe's and Rona, Lowe's/Rona Plus, experience a decline, especially in pricing, inspiration, discoveries, and transactional processes following the inclusion of Rona Plus in the evaluation. For meal delivery, very stable. Satisfaction with the online experiences in this sector is quite similar across all the players, except possibly for Skip the Dishes, which is falling behind a little bit. Loyalty programs and activities here are an important dimension. Things like discounts on the first box, point systems, things of that nature, very key to driving that positive experience. Pet stores, Chewy, we've talked about. Homes Alive's Pets, new to the study, ranks close to the top in the sector, and they really stand out for their chat tool. Mondu leads the pack, however, in terms of their loyalty program and their loyalty activities. Ren's Pets, which shares the exact same WOW index as Mondu, does excel in completely different areas. So highlighting the importance of obtaining the larger report, which gives you a lot more detail in terms of why are these differences happening, or in fact, even if we're the same, we're not the same for the same reasons, if that makes sense. For clothing, let's look at clothing. Reitmans holds the top spot. They're very active in online and offering different products. But in this sector, there have been some important fluctuations as well. Improvements for Shine and decline for Pennington's. They have been a little bit on the decline, affected primarily by brand image and loyalty activities. Let's move on to real estate. Centris holds the #1 spot in this sector. Maryse, you've talked to me about this site a bazillion times.
I do. I love browsing Centris. It's a hobby of mine. Their search engine is excellent. So it has comprehensive filters that make the experience really seamless. You can search by building type, by very specific neighborhood, very specific attributes for the building, and they are, I think, a strong player in terms of search tools.
Which we know is so important, right? We saw in this sector a little bit of some good growth for Remax. They've worked on making it easier to access support online from agents in particular. So having that ability to interact has played well for them. In the financial sector, we've got EQ Bank taking the top spot this year. They're new to the study. They rank very close to Tangerine, which was last year's leader. EQ Bank is a Canadian online bank. They are very much appreciated for their low-cost banking products and better interest rates. But overall, the sector remains pretty stable. In the insurance world, we've got 2 Blue Cross sites evaluated this year, and they both lead the sector with similar scores, and also represent the largest increases in this category. They both saw improvements across all dimensions of the online experience, particularly in terms of information search, showcasing new features, and their overall look and feel. So we've talked about all of these rankings, out of breath, it's all good. And I mentioned early before we got into the rankings that we were focusing on the non-transactional dimensions to ensure that we had that sufficient sample size to evaluate each company equally. But last year, we introduced something called the WOW Digital 360 Index, which is a sort of a ramped up version. And this provides a complete, let's say, comprehensive view of the entire customer journey. This means that here we're considering not only the non-transactional dimensions, but also the transactional dimensions for those retailers where we had high enough incidence of purchases. So those who've received at least 100 evaluations of their transactional experience. So here you see that Simons is up at the top, followed by Lululemon, Adidas, Mes Babettes, Les Fermes Lufa, Shop Santé, Apple Store, Bath and Body Works, Decathlon, and Starbucks. Now, these are the top 10. There's a lot more. But you'll notice that there are some interesting differences between these scores and the scores that are non-transactional, which again may indicate that there's work to be done to bridge the gap between those two worlds that you present yourself at for consumers. So again, congratulations to all the winners, both those leading in the overall rankings and the top performers in their respective sectors. Before we get to the Q&A, just a reminder that the results booklet and a link to this webinar will be sent to you this afternoon. We have always happy to answer any questions that we don't get to this morning, or to answer any specific questions about what's included in the reports or which players are included in your sector. Don't hesitate to email solutions@leger360.com. And I believe we now have 6 minutes or so for questions.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Luc. It's the end of a WOW week with the Ontario, Western results, Quebec, WOW Digital, and all I could say is, congratulations to all the retailers. This is really great information. We have a few questions. One is, if a brand wants to appeal to a younger audience, where should it start?
I think this one is for me. It's a
Okay,
great
yep.
question. So, as we've said before, our younger audience are 16 to 24. Is highly active on Instagram. And while they may not engage publicly on there, so you might not see them liking or commenting, they want to see your brand there. And they're likely to reach out via private messaging to ask for more information.
That's
And I would also say the one platform that they do engage with, like commenting, liking, sharing, is TikTok. So if that's important for your
as
strategy,
long
go
as it
ahead and go on
stays.
TikTok.
As long as it stays. As
Right,
You never
right.
know.
And I think, Maryse, you've got like tons of great information on the Leger Digital website about that digital report, right? The digital,
We do. You can
yeah.
download it for free if you want to know where your audiences are at.
There you go. Perfect.
we have this is actually an interesting question from in terms of the design. Is there a difference between website and app when you look at this study, or are you looking at just online?
We look at both, actually.
Yeah, okay.
We look at both parts of the interaction because I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, they can be quite different experiences. I shall name no names, but some
Yes.
do much better with their app. Some do, or sometimes apps will have fewer features or future things that you can do
Yeah.
or interact with retailers. So we look at both.
And I thought this was a good question. Has there been any consideration to combining the two WOWs for in-store and online to look at more of a multi-channel experience, or
In many respects, when you look at the two reports sort of side by side, there's connecting tissue all over the
yes,
place, right?
right,
To one of the reasons we looked at, for example, adding one of the special sections, which we didn't get to today, which was what are the incentives for shopping online? So what pushes people to go in that direction? And Tuesday, we looked at what are the reasons people go in the other direction? So what are the incentives for shopping in store? That alone, that one section alone provides a lot of connective tissue between the two studies.
yeah, that's really interesting, actually, and that's a good point you make for sure because of the functionality of the apps and how people are using all of that to make their purchasing decisions. This was a good question. I don't know if it comes through, but any insights that when you look at mobile web experience versus website versus desktop, is there anything that comes through when people are, obviously using their phones more?
I mean, beyond saying that there's an expectation that all of these different touch points will feel the same, will work the same, will provide the same benefits. I'm not, I haven't seen there's too much data to think about right now. But I mean, I would say that beyond that expectation, there's not much. Maryse,
Right.
maybe you have some insights in your digital report on that.
Not quite. We haven't really spent too much time on that difference, but it's very interesting to look at that in the future.
Yeah. Mhm.
Someone asked, how are companies chosen to take part in the study?
That's a great question. So one of the things we do is we want to look at obviously the key players in Canada, so the companies that sort of are well known in their categories, but also we want to look at emerging players. We want to look at regional
Right.
players. We want to look at companies that have gone through a lot of change. We ask ourselves a lot of hard questions throughout the year. I'm going to tell you right now, figuring out the list for next year starts tomorrow. Okay. We all talk amongst ourselves. We look at making sure also that between the two studies, we've got, again, a lot of connective tissue in terms of those brands that we're looking at. But as I said early on, if there's a company and or sector that you want to recommend, feel free to contact us. We've added sectors throughout the years. And of course, sorry, Santo, but it's also depends on how many of your customers we can get to, right? So if you're
Good
very,
point.
very niche, it'll
Yeah.
be hard to have you and compare you
Right.
to other players.
Right, right. So it's an iterative process and it's very fluid as
Yeah.
you said, it starts tomorrow
Uh-huh.
for next year already. Um, and finally, just to remind everybody, someone did ask as well, how can the results of the study be obtained?
Email any one of us or solutions at Leger 360. It's a very easy process.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so this is the end of our WOW week, and more WOW to continue. But thank you, Luc and Maurice, for your time today. And thank you, everybody, for attending. We do hope you found the information insightful and motivating. And we look forward to regrouping next year on the 2025, I guess 2026 study in 2025. But thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye all.